a sense of community when you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Well, my guest today lives in Victoria, and he's here to talk about a book that he's written. Time to meet Richard Oglivie. Welcome to the show, Richard.
Hi, thanks for having me.
My pleasure, for sure. So, yeah, do you have a copy of your book that you can show us?
Actually, I don't have one handy. My last copy went to a neighbor of mine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I don't have. I think I have a picture of the cover.
That'd be good. So people can actually, I think when people before they buy, like it's kind of great to be able to see.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Anyway, I should have asked you that ahead of time. My apologies.
No problem.
So, what is the name of your book?
The name of the book is Necessary Measures.
Okay. So,
sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just you speak.
Yeah, it's an espionage novel that starts in the Victoria area, moves into the Lower Mainland. I wanted to kind of write something with a local feel to it. So, because a lot of times that local stuff gets overlooked, and I thought that readers would really appreciate just talking about areas that they know and stuff.
I agree. I know personally I like that type of thing. So, what inspired you to write it?
In a nutshell, my wife. I've always had a bunch of stories that have just been running around in my head, and I've talked to her several times over wanting to get these stories out there, and I didn't really do anything with it because I just kind of let it sit, and there's a lot of self-doubt, and I can't really do this, and I really want to, I should try. And then one day she was just like, look, stop talking about it and just sit down and start writing it. And I as most smart men will tell you, listen to your wife, she's usually right. So yeah, I sat down and just, you know what, I'm just going to write this particular story and see how it went. I did find a picture of it. I will put it up right here. There is the
Necessary Measures. Hold it up just a little bit higher. Oh, I see. Okay. So Necessary Measures. Okay, yeah. Great. Now, is it out there already? Like, can you get it on Amazon or wherever?
Yes. Yeah, it's available on Amazon right now. You can do ebook or paperback. There is a hardcover option,
right?
But somebody actually messaged saying that they tried to order in a hardcover and it said it was not available, which is weird because it's actually print on demand. So going through my publisher to contact Amazon to find out what the issue is there. But yeah, it's available on Amazon. I know it's available on download through ebook on Indigo.
Okay, right.
And then there's a couple other ebook platforms you can download it off of. We're in the process right now of getting it into bookstores, like the actual physical copy. So that should be in the next few weeks. And yeah, but right now it is available online.
Okay, very good. So when did you start writing it, and how long did it take you to finish?
Oh, this actually sat for a while. I started writing it probably back in 2010. It was a while ago. It took me a little over a year to write it from beginning to end, and then about another year of editing and fixing everything and trying to convince myself that it wasn't terrible, because I'm very self-critical.
Most people are, yeah.
Right. So just going back and contemplating deleting the whole thing, just no, it's good. So yeah, the whole process took about 2 years from beginning to end. And then we shopped it around for a while. That would have been, I guess, 2012 area.
Mhm.
And it was just one of those things where, as anybody who's tried to publish a book will tell you, you got to hit that right moment, right? Because you've got to find a publisher that's willing to take you on, especially if it's an unsolicited manuscript. You got to find a publisher that publishes in your genre, that and on top of that, they're taking submissions. And so I was working full-time in a rather intense job, and I just didn't have the time to really sit through it.
Mhm.
And so I shelved it, started writing other things. And then when we got into a situation where things were a little easier, my wife came back and said, try it again. And so we did, and found this particular avenue, and it worked out.
Very good. Yeah. So now that you've gone through that process, would you do it again? Like, are you planning on writing another book?
Yeah, this is actually book one of a trilogy.
Oh, okay.
I'm working on book two currently. I'm basically setting the same deadline for myself as the first book, so I'd like to get it done in about a year, and then go straight into book three. I was working on a different project, unrelated to this one, and I got about halfway through that and then kind of hit a wall. So then when this book got published, I was able to be like, you know what, I can shelve that one for now, and then come back and work on the sequel. So the sequel is probably about, I would say, it's pretty early on, but I'm about 10 to 15% done, as in like I'm there and happy with it.
Right.
So yeah, I'll just keep going on that. But now that I have that goal ahead of me, then I can reach my deadline, which is the key.
Is the key. Yeah. No, I know a lot of people have gotten into self-publishing because I hear it's getting more and more difficult to find a publisher to take people's work.
Right.
Have you considered self-publishing?
This is actually kind of a hybrid thing, because it is where I went through actually is self-publishing.
Right.
But the publisher that I'm with, they're called Tellwell. They're in Victoria. They have a system in place where there's like different tiers that you can set up. The big thing that really drew me to them as opposed to other places is I retain my rights. A lot of places, when you self-publish, I didn't even know this until I looked into it, they control the rights to the characters, even the names of your characters.
Wow.
And so when I was talking to Tellwell, they really just helped guide me in the right direction. They deal with a lot of the Amazon side of it. That part is taken care of, because as a novice, I wouldn't really know any of the stuff about how to contact Amazon to get all this stuff. So they were really great in taking that over. The key that we're hoping for is that through the sales of the book, which have been really quite nice, I've been quite happy with the sales. We're hoping that it will garner interest from either a publisher or, more specifically, a literary agent, because then I can sign up with that literary agent, and then they can start shopping things, either this book or future books, to publishers, because most publishers today don't really accept what they call unsolicited manuscripts. It's basically they just send literary agents out to find these books. So if I have an agent, then all of a sudden I'm into a new category.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be really good. With the what did you say was Tellwell? What was that the name?
Yeah, Tellwell. They're right in downtown Vic.
Do they help with editing, or were you on your own for that?
Editing is an option, but because of the size of my book, it would have been a little too expensive.
Okay,
But that is one of the things that
they offer, yeah.
that they offer. My daughter actually and a friend of hers have written a book as well, and so they're going to be going through Tellwell as well because I've had such a positive experience.
Good.
So they're going to go through the same thing. I don't know if they're going to pay for the editing, but
Right.
it is available.
It is an option with them. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so because you didn't go through and you're editing yourself, or did your wife help you, or?
Oh yeah, my wife definitely edited that because whenever I try to edit something, even like we're not even talking about a book, just like a text message or something.
Yeah.
A lot of times you'll find yourself reading what you intended to write, and you're not actually reading what you actually wrote. So self-editing was never an option. My wife edited it, and then a friend of ours back in Chilliwack, she edited it as well. She's actually going to school for editing.
Oh,
so while not considered a professional yet, she definitely knows what she's doing. And so between the two of them, we were able to iron out the details and put together what I think is a pretty pretty good book, a pretty good product that went out there.
Yeah, very good. So what's your ultimate goal? Like, now now that one's moving and it's doing well, and it's, as you said, it's a trilogy. I mean, are you hoping to become like a known author, or are you just happy to put out your work and hope to get some good sales?
Well, I mean, it's a good question, actually. I never saw myself being like an international best-selling author. Not that I would say no to that.
Yeah, of course.
Like, if it were to come, that'd be great. But my wife, Amy, I'm just going to call her Amy instead of my wife. She's good at keeping me grounded and also lifting me up, because she reminds me that the reason I went through this was because I had a story that I wanted to share.
Right.
And worst case scenario, that's what I did. If it were to lead to something, that would be great. And would I love to do this as a profession? Absolutely. Because I've got a ton of story ideas just waiting to bust out. So yeah, if this could turn into something, that would truly be amazing. But that's not why I did it.
Yeah, right. What made you decide to make it a trilogy?
A couple of things. The main one being the story that I was contemplating. I thought about writing it into one book, but I really wanted to flesh out the characters because excuse me. I find that the most compelling stories are the ones where you really care about the characters. And if it's a standalone book, a lot of times you have to focus more on the story as opposed to who the people are. And the amazing book series Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. My wife is arguably Diana's biggest fan. She told me to read it, and I didn't want to because it wasn't in my genre.
Yeah.
But she got me to read the first book, and I read the entire series because it was just so expertly written. Like her world building and character development was just so compelling that I wanted to write a story that people cared about what happened to these characters. They're not just, like generic faces, and especially in the espionage genre.
Right.
The one thing that's always bothered me is like when the main character's like Jack Stone and he's like this superhero one-man army, and it's just, there's nothing wrong with that style of book.
Yeah.
Because if that's what you're going for, then that's what they'll give you. They'll give you your like John Armstrong superhero, but it's not real. Like those type of people don't really exist.
Right.
I wanted even the heroes. They're fallible. They're real. They have issues that they have to deal with and overcome, like getting older. Dealing with global terrorism while still maintaining a social life. Like it's just one of those things that I really wanted to focus on, and I can't do that in one book because that book would be 2,000 pages long.
This big.
Yeah, and I didn't set out to write War and Peace 2. Like Tolstoy can have it. No, so it didn't start out as a trilogy, but I didn't want to feel rushed into its conclusion. So as I, got about the halfway point, because I had a set word count target, when I hit there, I was just like, there's no way I can finish this in one book.
Right.
And could I do a sequel? Yes. But do I want to limit myself? Am I going to cram it into 2 books, or can I satisfy the ending not only to myself but to my readers?
Very good. Yeah.
In that by the time they get to the end of it, it wasn't too long and it didn't feel rushed. It's just that nice balance, and that's where the trilogy idea came out.
Very good. Yeah, for sure. So now, one question that I know when you're putting your stuff out there, like people say, well, what's your audience, or what's your target audience? Do you consider that at all?
I did, yeah, because being an espionage novel, typically your target audience is going to be young to middle-aged men. Okay. But I wanted, through character development, I wanted to reach a broader audience, particularly women, because so many times you get these novels that are just so technical and so based on military and government procedure and stuff like that. And unless you're like really into that, you burn out halfway through a book, because it's just like, yeah, I get it. Like, this is your boss and that person's boss, and or like I don't need to know like the specific designation for an attack helicopter. No, it's just an attack helicopter. So I had to kind of walk this fine line of giving enough information to satisfy the typical target audience, but also make it more character-based and real, so that people who maybe don't go towards espionage novels could get pulled in. Like my favorite author of all time, sadly passed away, was Tom Clancy.
Right.
Just an amazing author, very technical, like very, very, very technical. And so when I tell people that he was my favorite author, a lot of people say it's like, well, I just couldn't get into it because of the technical side. And totally understandable. Whereas you look at, say, a Robert Ludlum, whose espionage novels are global phenomenons, especially the Bourne series. Not nearly as technical, more character based. And that's kind of where I went, is just I wanted people to really connect to not only the characters, but what they were going through. And you can't do that if you're getting lost in statistics.
True. Yeah. Well, remind everybody again the name of the book. Hold it up, the cover, so people can have another look at it.
Do that right now. Yeah, it is Necessary Measures.
Necessary Measures, and they can get it on Amazon and Indigo.
Yeah, Amazon, Indigo. It's
There you go. Okay.
That's it there. I'll hide my face. It is book one of the assembly trilogy.
Okay.
Spoiler alert, and I'm not going to give it away, but you have to read it to find out what the assembly is.
Oh, okay. That's a good way to end it, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
So just stay on camera. So everybody, this has been Richard Oglivie. Sorry about that, Richard.
No worries.
Look for his book, and if you enjoy it, then you can get the next one. You know, there's no point in buying one of a trilogy if you're not going to get the other two.
Exactly. I promise the book 2 and 3 are coming. I'm not going to leave it hanging.
There you go. So thank you everybody for watching this show. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you subscribe, because I like that. It makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Take care, everybody, and peace out.
A sense of community, Chilliwack's a place to be. A sense of community when you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me. It's multicultural, you're sure to see it all. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see. Come party in the park, go dancing after dark. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see.